So you've mentioned earlier that Nix has been getting like more traction, more popularity. Where do you see that going? Right? Because like obviously the current direction that we have for handling dependencies across different systems is like Flatpak. Like this seems to be the main way that things are being done. Snaps Canonical wants them to be, but not outside of Ubuntu. And app images, some projects have them, some don't. But Flatpak's clearly the thing that the FOSS space is like rallying behind. Um, but where do you see Nix fitting in here, and where do you really see Nix going?
I see. I'm not really sure. Um, it's kind of all over the place. It could be. There are a lot of different ways Nix could go. I could see someone potentially writing like something kind of like bottles, but it is like a flat pack kind of thing where it's like, here's your store of like your marketplace, but it's all Nix stuff that you can easily manage through there instead of having to manage like your stuff, and then you just have that on top of like Ubuntu or whatever.
Mhm.
That could be something someone makes. But I see Linux was kind of just sticking around like Arch Linux where it's like, hey, it exists. It's the advanced distro that everyone's gonna probably try out at some point.
Right. Okay. Okay. Um. So I don't know if you know anything about it. If you don't, we can just move past this. But anytime the topic of Nix comes up, there's also mentions of other projects like the GNU Geeks project, which I understand try to serve a similar function. I don't know if you know anything about that though, and can really comment on that.
I know a little about GUIX. I
I don't.
heard
Yeah, I don't know
it's
how to
a
say
fork.
it. People have told me it's geeks, so that's what I've been going with.
It could be because you're Australian, I'm American, different accents. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I always say GUIX because that's what it looks like it says.
Mhm. That's
But
what I used to
from
say,
what
and then
I
people
know,
complained about it. So I don't know.
who's gonna stop me from saying it? But yeah, uh, from what I've heard, GUIX is a fork of Nix. That's as far as I know. I know it's like that, but it's trying to shoehorn into like Gen 2 basically. I don't know. I've never used it that specific thing before.
Yeah, I wasn't sure like if you knew anything about it. Like, if not, we can just move past that. That's all good.
I it's been thrown around a lot. I've seen about it.
Mhm.
I've looked it up. Never played with it.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. That's
I
understandable.
I know I know I know about it. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But I
Right.
don't know enough to like ramble on about it.
Mhm. So, if people are maybe interested in the Nix project, not just as like a user, but somebody wants to get more involved in the project, they maybe want to start like managing packages or helping out with documentation, things like that. Um, what do you think is an area that needs the most support right now, and where can people go to start helping out with that?
So two places, as always, documentation always
Mhm.
needs improvement. Uh, I mean that's probably true for any project out there that's
Right, right.
large. Um, and then just maintainership. Nix packages at this point is at like 140,000 packages. It is essentially the largest package repository for systems packages out there. We have Python packages, we have Node packages. Having people maintain all those is difficult. There is a lot of people like myself who maintain a lot of duplicate packages or even just like a lot of different packages. And the problem with that, it kind of strains out a lot of people.
Mhm.
We only have like last time I looked was about a year ago, and it was like 230 committers,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of people involved in Nix. We have a lot of PRs, and So just reviewing packages, helping with documentation, picking up packages that haven't been touched in like 2 years or hasn't or is out of date, just whatever you kind of see that like you think needs improvement is always welcome and it always helps out.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody wanted to get involved with that, what would they need to do? Where would they go?
I would think the NixOS matrix space because that's where everyone is at.
Mm-hmm.
There is the unofficial Discord, but that's unofficial.
Sure.
I'm on there. A few prominent people like Tom Barrick, he's another committer, and a previous release manager. A lot of people are there, but the matrix is like the centralized place to go,
Mm-hmm. And then
and
you
you
can
can kind of coordinate with other people.
right, and then you can sort of ask about who needs support, what needs support, where things are lacking, and sort of direct yourself. Or I guess even if you don't have like a set thing you want to, like, it obviously going and like filling in gaps is important. But even if you just want to like get involved and just like maybe you notice maybe 140,000 packages, maybe there's something that's missing there, and you just want to put it up there, and then no one's done before. Obviously, that's
Yeah,
more
because
maintainership burden. There's still a lot. There's a lot of things then, but like, there's no reason why you have to just fill in gaps if that's not a thing that is interesting to you.
yeah, there's a lot people can do. There's a lot of open issues that even if you don't maintain something, you can look at an issue and try to help resolve it to get it closed.
Mm-hmm.
Just whatever you feel like really is what's possible.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work there, and not as many people as you would expect for the amount of work, I guess.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of easy, I think, to get involved with Nix
Mm-hmm.
because it's a mono repo on GitHub. All you need to have is a GitHub account. Practically everyone in FOSS has a GitHub account.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you just need Nix itself. You don't have to be running NixOS. You just need Nix
Mm-hmm.
and a GitHub account and some free time,
Mm-hmm.
and then just do something.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Nix repo as 3,200 open issues.
Yeah, look at how many commits we have.
Wait, where's the number?
It's gonna be on the home.
Sorry, I had the for my overlay, I have it like squashed down into like a mini view, and disk then GitHub was hiding it. 19,703 on Nix itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
And on Nix packages, 779,000.
yeah, we have a lot of activity going on, and there's basically a commit like or a merge happening like every 30 minutes.
How does Git behave with a commit history that long? Does if you run the history command, what happens?
Oh, so do not run git log or git
Yeah,
history
yeah, yeah. Log, that's what I'm
because
thinking of.
it's gonna take forever. Especially do not do it when you have like 1 gig of RAM. I don't know what you'd be doing with 1 gig of RAM in 2025,
Hmm.
but do not do it unless you are ready for your CPU to struggle on a single core.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because that single core is just going to compute everything for the past like 20 years that repos existed.
That's fun. It's it's probably, yeah. I'd imagine the Linux kernel probably has the exact same problem there, where it's just like never touch that command.
Yeah, so does LLVM. I think LLVM is at like 1.2 million commits. I
Jesus.
think the Linux kernel's at like 12 million or something like that. Those two repos have several times more commits than Nix packages does.
Does Git have the option to do history paging? Because it should.
Um, no, I think it computes everything and then outputs it. Because the way Git works is the parent commit
Mm.
gets you affects the revision hash
Mm,
of the previous commit of the next commit.
mm,
So
mm,
it needs to
mm,
compute. It needs to compute the previous to get to the next.
mm, mm.
I don't know how git commit exactly does that in a way that doesn't slow down every time you make a git commit, but there is just doing a git
Oh, so
log of just
committing still works
everything.
fine. You're not waiting 30 minutes for that.
No, it takes more like 5 seconds.
Okay. I know in the early days of Git it was really really bad with mono repos. And this is why there were a lot of competitors that came out around like very shortly after Git. Um but Git got better at that over time, it seems. Yeah.
And we have faster processors now.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I remember I think it was actually around like I think yeah, Mercurial. Facebook they internally use Mercurial because back when they were starting up, Git was unusable for mono repos, and the solution that was being suggested at the time is just don't. Just break it up into smaller repos. Like, no, we're not going to do that. So they just went to something else instead because it worked better.
Yeah,
But I guess as the Linux kernel's gotten bigger as well, they kind of had to address those problems because, you know.
it's a forced problem.